Hi guys, Twitch here from Creep Designs. Today I'm bringing you something pretty special. I've been given the opportunity to partake in a $100 challenge with an amazing group of YouTube furniture artists. The goal is to complete an entire piece of furniture whilst keeping the budget under $100. So that's 100 US dollars. So that works out to roughly 133 Australian dollars. So if you look in the description, you'll be able to find a list of links to all of the items used in this video, as well as a list of all of the links to all the other creations from the other artists in this challenge. That was a mouthful. So please take the time to check out all of the videos, because there's going to be some amazing stuff done. And please don't forget to subscribe and share and like and comment and do all of that stuff, because it does help us out, and we really do appreciate every comment and every subscriber. And yeah, so now that I've got all of that out after a million takes, let's get started. Alright, so obviously this is the piece I'm working on. It's pretty basic. It comes in a set of 5 pieces, so it doesn't have sides on it or legs. So what I'm going to do is just cut this strip off from along the front, rather than trying to add onto the sides and give it a more modern clean cut top. So I cut it off using my jigsaw, and then I am just laying it on its back and using my orbital and using 80 grit sandpaper to sand it smooth and get it all even and flush. And here is the final result of that. Kind of hard to tell, but it's nice and smooth and squared off to match the rest of the sides. So now I've removed all of these handles. I'm setting the screws aside because they don't need to be done, but all of these handles are going to get boiled in a 1-to-1 solution of white vinegar and water. Now, as I said earlier, this piece doesn't actually have any feet on it, and I want it up off the ground. So I've got these hairpin legs that I got from Bunnings for $9 each, for those of you that are in Australia and know what I'm talking about. But I don't want them to be black, so I'm actually going to spray them gold. Alright, so to spray these, and I'm going to use these on the handles as well, I'm using Krylon Shortcuts metallic paint in the colour Gold Leaf. And this is just the snap and spray. And the can just slides straight into the top of this. Really easy to do. And when you pull the trigger, that trigger there, it just pushes down on the thing where you'd normally push your finger down. So, giving this a shake. I know I've said it before, but I love this stuff so much. I'm looking for every chance I can to use it. So that's Krylon Shortcuts in Gold Leaf. So I'll let that dry, and once they're completely dry, I'll have a good look at them and make sure I haven't missed any spots. But they look pretty good to me. Oh, I think I've got a bug stuck to it. Oh well. Moving on. Alright, so I'm far too impatient to wait for things to dry. I want the legs on this for whilst I'm painting it. I'll worry about that for when I'm putting actual colour on it, but for now I'm going to slap some primer on, just whilst it's sitting here and whilst I'm waiting for other things to dry. On this one I'm using Carts and Millie Boutique Primer and Adhesive Bond. Really good stuff. I absolutely love it. I think it works absolutely great. And I'm using a sleek brush, and this one is the 63mm brush. Again, swear by these brushes. I think they're bloody amazing. Because the brush is so big, I'm not using my usual little round yogurt pot to decant into, so I've got some of my primer poured into this little container. I should probably not be wearing black whilst I'm doing this. My husband would give me a hard time if he knew. So we just won't tell him. I'm swapping to a smaller 25mm sleek brush to do these edges here. Just makes it a bit easier to get done. So I'm going to be painting these drawers in Millie Boutique Furniture Paint in the colour Melrose Sunset. It's a beautiful colour. It's not a colour I'd usually use, but it was screaming out to me for this piece. So I've decanted some into a little yogurt cup. Obviously you can use whatever you want. And I'm using a 38mm sleek brush. I'm not going to be painting like this the whole time, but I just want to give you a close-up. So, just got a little bit on my brush. I'll try and get in nice and close. And actually make sure I'm showing you what I'm doing. Otherwise it's pointless, right? So when you saw me put one coat of primer on, I ended up going in and putting a second coat of primer on, and then once that had dried overnight, it doesn't have to dry overnight, but it did anyway. I went in with 400 grit sandpaper and just like went one pass over, or a couple of passes over, just to make sure it was all smooth. This looks very pale and apricot-y on my phone, but it's really not. It's actually a lot more vibrant than what it's showing up as. Let's see if I can get a more accurate shot of it. Probably not. That there, no, it's darker than what it's showing up as. Hopefully you can get a better idea of it once it's all finished. What if I show it further away? Nah. Oh well, I'll keep going. Right, I was planning on attaching the feet before I started putting colour on this, but my mother called and I can't just stand still whilst I'm on the phone, so I started painting. But now I'm going to flip it onto its back and start attaching the feet. So these feet, hairpin legs, were $9 each from Bunnings for those in Australia. And I've sprayed them gold as you saw earlier. And just attaching them with some screws, of course. Pointing out the obvious. I'm attaching these now before I get the rest of the painting done so that it's up off the ground and I can put this down on the floor now, and yeah, really simple to attach. We'll most likely use more of these in the future because I think they're just bloody brilliant. Alright, so now that I'm working on these larger areas, I'm actually going to use a misting bottle and spray it a little bit first. And I'm using a larger brush. This one is a 63mm sleek brush. this paint is self-leveling, so I'm not overly concerned about brush strokes. All you really need to watch for is that you don't overload your brush too much. Don't put too much paint on. Just do thin coats. Don't be afraid to go both ways. So brush it like that to get the coverage, and then finish by going down like that and not leave hair in it. So yeah, brush whichever way you want and just try and finish by going the same way. And you kind of want your final strokes to be lighter, so almost like a feathering. So it is self-leveling paint, but it's just a simple way to try and eliminate brush strokes. So I'll get the rest of this painted up. I'll probably do 2, maybe 2.5 coats of this, and then we'll go from there. Now I'm using Dixie Belle Satin clear coat to seal the whole piece, including the drawer fronts. I'm just being rough with my brush. This is only the first coat. I'll do longer, cleaner, softer and more light-handed strokes on the last 2 coats that I do. Alright, so I wanted to do something funky on the drawer sides. The drawer sides have 2 coats of Cuts & Millie primer and adhesive bond on them. Other than that, I haven't done anything else to them. This strip here, it has a timber strip for the front piece. I'm not putting anything on that. I'm just gonna, when I'm finished, I'm gonna put some of the Melrose Sunset on that as well, so that there's not a white chunk there. But what I'm using is, I never prepare for this stuff. I'm using Bells and Whistles Colorful Floral with black and white premium decoupage rice paper. I didn't actually want the whole drawer side covered in this. It would look cool. It would look bloody great, I almost swore. But what I'm actually doing, and also so that I can keep the budget down, I'm only using half pieces. So what I've done is I've got a sheet and I've cut it down this way and then that way. I think I get 2 pieces down this way and then I'll get 2 pieces out of this one, or something like that. I can't remember. Should probably go check that. So because I don't want this straight up and down, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to, I might do this one this way. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do this one on an angle. So rather than straight up and down, and rather than cutting it, I'm going to go on an angle like that. And I'm going to use some Posh water. I'm just going to spray a little bit on there because you don't need much. I'm just going to wet my finger. And we'll go, yeah, that way. So you just wet it where you want to tear it. Water there. And that way the chickens are losing it over a piece of toast crust, so that way it'll be like that and it won't have a blunt edge on it. So the way I'm attaching this is with my 38mm sleek brush and Dixie Belle clear coat. Doesn't really matter if you go over where you, like, go past where you're putting the paper. It's a bit windy today, so I might struggle with this. On there like that, and then I'm just putting more clear coat on top and brushing it out. And then just use the brush to flatten out any wrinkles or bubbles or anything like that. You can also go over it with your finger or your thumb. But a little bit of wrinkles don't matter too much. I mean, it's not a perfect piece. It hasn't come off a factory floor. I've done plenty of years working in factories. I'm not working in a factory anymore. I'm doing something I love, so, you know, I don't want to do something that's the same as everything else. So it's going to have little imperfections. It's got a little bit down here, but rather than trying to take it off now, we'll let it dry, and then once it's dry, we'll go in with a piece of high-grade sandpaper and just sand that little edge off. So that's that. I'll dry this with the heat gun and then we'll keep going. Alright, so now I'm going to paint this section using Millie mint button. Alright, so she's all finished, guys. All the handles are back on, obviously. But I haven't taken any photos yet because the sun, the damn sunlight is, you know, being a nuisance. So I'm going to wait for the sun to bugger off and then I'll take photos. In the meantime, I'll sit down and go through the budget. But first, let's check this out. I should probably show you, shouldn't I? Ooh. Ah. Look at that. You'll see better in the photos anyway. So I'll get the budget done and chuck some photos up. Alright, so I've sat down and done my homework on a piece of cardboard, which is, you know, a step up for me because usually I do all my workings out in my workshop on a piece of wood. So starting with the legs that I got from Bunnings for $9 each, that comes to $36. I'm working all this out in Australian dollars, by the way, because I'm Australian. The drawers themselves cost $15. The Krylon Shortcuts gold leaf spray was, I'm accounting $8.95 for a full can because I used a full can, so actually I didn't even use the whole lot, so there's definitely still spray in that can, but I'm just gonna make it the full price. I used about $5 of the Dixie Belle Satin clear coat, so that's for sealing the whole drawers, including the sides and decoupaging the paper on. I used about $10 worth of Millie Melrose Sunset, about $5 worth of Millie primer and adhesive bond. Now for the brushes, I used all Sleek brushes, so that's Sleek Australia. So 25mm brush is $4.99, 38mm brush $7.99, and 63mm brush $12.99. I probably should have thought ahead and only used one brush for the whole project, but I didn't. I used about $2 worth of Millie mint button for the sides of the drawers. I used 18mm sleek tape on the sides to do the striping, and I used about 50 cents of that tape, 50 cents worth of tape off that roll. The whole roll itself costs about, costs $2.49. And as for the paper, which I actually use less of than what I was expecting, so there's 3 sheets of the decoupage paper in each pack. I only used about 2.5 sheets because of the way I did the sides. A pack itself, without being split up, is $23.99. So I've done the maths on that and worked it out to $19.95. So all up, in Australian dollars, that comes to $128.37, which is under budget in Australian dollars, and works out to $94.98 in US dollars, which is also under budget for the $100 challenge. So that's my $100 challenge done, guys. For the rest of the videos, please go look in the description for the rest of the links, or just follow the playlist. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share and comment on every video that you watch. We really do appreciate it, and see you on the next one.